Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at how we use the passive voice in English. Let's go to the intro. Now, today's lesson is on how we use the passive voice, and this video was a request from a student called Hector, who asked me if I could explain in detail how we use the passive voice in English. Now, I'm going to try to do that, okay? So, the passive voice, to begin with, is one of the tenses that students have a lot of difficulty with because it's easily confused with other structures that look similar to the passive, but aren't necessarily the passive. And some people have trouble to remember how we form it, when we use it, etc., etc. So I'm going to try to explain that in this brief video today. Now, here we have 4 sentences. 2 sentences are active and 2 sentences are passive. So, the first one, they speak Spanish in Mexico. That's an active sentence. And the passive version is Spanish is spoken in Mexico. Now, how do we form the passive sentence from the active one? Well, what we do is we take I'll just show this here. So we have the subject, verb, object, okay? Now, if we want to turn the active sentence into a passive, our object becomes our subject. The verb is turned into a passive structure by using the verb to be and the past participle tense. In this sense, it is a present simple tense here, so we use a present simple passive structure, okay? And basically that's all we do. The rest stays exactly the same. So the passive structure is Spanish is spoken in Mexico. Again, another example. Cook, Captain Cook, discovered Australia in 1770. Okay, now I'm not going to argue if he was the first person to discover Australia or not, but for the sake of argument, we'll say that he was. So Cook discovered Australia in 1770. Subject, verb, object. The verb is in a past simple tense here. So Cook discovered Australia in 1770. So again, to form the passive, we take the object and we turn it into the subject. Australia was discovered, okay? Past simple turns into a passive simple, a past simple passive with the verb here to be in the past. Present, verb is in the present. Past, verb is in the past. Past participle, 1770, by Cook. Now, we don't necessarily need to put this. This now, the subject here is now what's known as an agent, okay? An agent. So the agent here, Cook, is not necessarily needed, but we can put it there for the time being. But the most important thing is that is how we change the structure, okay? So they speak Spanish becomes Spanish is spoken. Cook discovered Australia becomes Australia was discovered. Now, basically what it is that the receiver in the sentence becomes the active part of the sentence, okay? So in this sense here, Australia and Spanish are the receivers, okay? They're the passive receivers, let's say. They become the protagonists. They become the stars of the sentence by becoming the subject, okay, in the passive structure. So Spanish is spoken in Mexico. Australia was discovered in 1770 by Cook. Now, the passive structure is, as I said, it is the verb to be plus the past participle. Verb to be, past participle, verb to be, past participle. Okay? Now, as I said, present, present, past, past. Okay? So simple past, present simple, verb to be, past participle. When do we use the passive? Now there's 6 or 7 reasons why, but here are the main 4, and they're the easiest ones to remember, okay? So we use the passive when there's no need to mention who does the action. So the showers are cleaned every day. The showers are cleaned every day. We don't need to mention who cleans the showers because it's not necessary, okay? Because we know that there's a cleaner that cleans the showers, so it's not necessary to mention it. So the showers are cleaned every day, no need. The second one is that we don't know who did the action. We don't have an idea who committed the action, okay? So my watch has been stolen. Okay, has been stolen. This is the present perfect passive here. My watch has been stolen. I don't know by whom. I don't know who stole my watch, okay? But my watch has been stolen by somebody. I don't know who it is. So we use that passive tense. The third example, there's more interest in the action than the person who did it. So we're more interested in the fact that the Alhambra was built in the 14th century or whenever it was built than by who built it, okay? So there's more interest in this. This is also similar here. Australia was discovered in 1770. We don't really care who discovered Australia because there's more interest in the fact that it was discovered in that particular year. So there's more interest in the action. And the last one is when the active subject is people. Now this is a little bit more complex, but what we mean by this, by the active subject is people, look at the example. He is thought to have stolen the money. He is thought to have stolen the money. So basically people think that he stole the money. But instead of saying people think that he stole the money, we say he is thought to have stolen the money. Okay? He is thought to have stolen the money. So those are the 4 main or principal reasons when we use the passive. Like I said, there's a couple more. I won't explain them here, but I'll do another video in the future where I do explain the passive in more detail, okay? So these are the sentences from active to passive and the 4 reasons when the passive is used. Now I'm going to clean this off and I'm going to show you the different tenses in the passive, okay? The different tenses we can use in the passive structure. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so here we are back again with the example sentences and the different tenses in the active and the passive so that you see how many tenses we can use the passive with, okay? Now, basically, all of the normal tenses that we have in active forms in English can be turned into passives. There are a couple of exceptions, but I won't explain them here. I'll just show you the main ones, let's say, okay, and how we do it. So, as I said before, present simple, passive. Past simple, passive. This example here, someone has stolen my car, active, present perfect, has stolen. My car has been stolen, okay? Has been stolen. So be past participle, still maintaining the present perfect structure, has stolen, has been stolen here. The next example, continuous. My dad is painting the kitchen, okay? Active, the kitchen is being, okay? Continuous, painted, okay? The kitchen is being painted, passive. Past continuous or progressive. Someone was watching me. Someone was watching me. Okay? I was being watched. I was being watched. Next example, she had kept the cheese in the fridge. Active, past perfect. The cheese had been kept in the fridge. Past perfect passive. And the last example, someone will speak to you tomorrow. Okay. Future. Okay. Future simple. You will be spoken to tomorrow. You will be spoken to tomorrow. Okay. Now in this sense here, we could also call it an infinitive. We could replace this with should. Someone should speak to you tomorrow. You should be spoken to tomorrow, or could, or might, etc. So we can be flexible there when we're talking about this particular structure here, okay? Now, the difficulty comes when we, let's say for example, this one here. My dad is painting the kitchen. The kitchen is being painted. So the continuous verb here becomes the past participle, and the gerund is taken by the be. Okay, that's the difficult one, and that also happens in the past continuous, obviously, because it's the continuous tense. So my dad is painting, the kitchen is being painted, someone was watching me, I was being watched. So watching, watched, was stays the same, and be obviously in the continuous form. So here's your continuous here. Okay, so I was being watched. Now that's more or less all there is to it. There is a little bit more complexity the further you learn English, and I'll explain that in another video. But basically that is the passive voice summarized. Now, thank you very much for watching the lesson. Remember that if you have a question or a comment, please leave it below. As you can see, this video was a request from somebody. I'm happy to receive requests. If you have any questions or any doubts, send them to me. I could make a video on the subject, no problem at all. Remember to share the video on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest. Share it up on social media. Subscribe to the channel. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.